So a little bit about myself. I did my undergraduate studies in biology and psychology at the University of Dayton, which is in the heart of it all, Ohio. After a brief spell with AmeriCorps, where I worked at an Audubon center, I went to Washington University in St. Louis, where I got my PhD in neuroscience. There I worked with a guy who was actually a pediatric endocrinologist, so studied hormones and treated kids with diabetes, essentially, Dr. Louis Muglia. And I worked with him on understanding the role of stress hormones in anxiety, depression, and fear-based memory using animal models, primarily mice. So I did a lot of animal behavior, a lot of physiology, and a lot of endocrinology, obviously. I then stayed in St. Louis for my postdoctoral research. I worked at the Washington University Pain Center, working with a guy named Rob Giroux. And there I continued working in animal models, but then also expanded my interest into kind of human study research. After my postdoc, I started as faculty in a biology department at Duquesne University, which is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I was there for 9 years before I moved here to Dallas in July. One of the best parts about Duquesne as a kind of medium-sized research university was that it really forced people from different fields together. And it taught me the importance of collaboration. I ended up working on projects that took me into the ocean, to the Caribbean Sea, took me to Africa and Cameroon to collect natural products, and took me again into kind of human research. So we just finished and published a human clinical trial where we used exercise and meditation, mindfulness-based meditation, something very applicable right now during COVID, to treat chronic low back pain. So I'm really actually excited to continue many of these collaborations, but hopefully build some new ones here as we expand into new areas of research at UTD. My current ongoing and future research is really centered on studying the interaction between stress and emotional regulation in the context of pain and injury. We have two primary foci within the laboratory. First, we're pursuing basic questions in mice to study an area of the brain called the amygdala, involved in depression, anxiety, stress integration. And what we're really interested in is the impact of the amygdala in the context of pain. So one of the more kind of weird but exciting side stories that we have been developing over the last 10 to 15 years is a phenomenon of brain lateralization in these mice. So we found pretty dramatic differences between the left and right brain in our little rodents. And often we think about right and left brain as a human phenomenon, but it turns out that mice, rats, monkeys, even honeybees show differences between the hemispheres. So one of the cool parts about this in the context of pain is that it will hopefully, by studying this phenomenon, will help us understand the development of chronic pain from acute pain, but then also understand some of the side effects that people experience when they're trying to get treatment for chronic pain. This work has also brought my lab into the kind of world of computational modeling. One of the things that I recognized and continue to recognize is the limitation of my own brain. And so my collaborations have started to develop to try to synthesize and bring together data that has been generated by other laboratories into a single computational model. So I've been working with a number of different biological mathematicians over the last couple of years to model the cell-to-cell communication that occurs in the amygdala so that, again, we combine different data sets and do essentially thought experiments using the model before we spend maybe a year or two or three or four doing the wet lab research. So I'm really excited to hopefully work with folks here at UTD to expand our capabilities on the modeling side. We also use a lot of physiology, behavior, in vivo imaging, and pharmacology in these studies. I'm also really excited to potentially develop collaborations with folks in bioengineering to work on better methods to sample larger numbers of cells or neurons in the brain than we've previously been able to do. The other focus of our future research is in drug discovery, and here we continue to use kind of the bounty of nature to find novel chemicals. So we're still working in Cameroon and the Caribbean, and hopefully I can develop new collaborations there. So I'll end at this point and just want to say, if you want to get a hold of me, please send me an email, benedict.kolber@UT Dallas, or you can search for my lab, the UTD Pain and Stress Lab. Thank you so much.